Welcome to Walks on the Wild Side, helping you capture the beauty of nature through your lens. I'm Scott Walker, aka Walks, and in this video I'm going to talk to you about enhancing your macro photography with the Lensbaby Omni Creative Filter System. And there are three reasons for this. Number one, I was asked by a viewer, so thank you Tammy H for your idea. Number two, it can really help get you out of a creative rut. And I know some people suffer from this at this time of year. Although there are still lots of subjects to photograph, all the insects have died away and the flowers have gone, and it's not quite winter yet where you get that ice, snow and frost to help enhance things. And the third reason is that I absolutely love these filters and I think you need to know about them. Next, let's talk about the kit. You have a filter ring that screws onto your lens's filter thread. The filter ring comes in two sizes. Small fits lenses with a 49 to 58mm diameter, and large fits 62 to 82mm. My Sony 90mm macro has got a 62mm diameter, so I'll be using the large filter ring. You have two magnetic mounts, which each have two mounting points. These will just slide around the filter ring. The filters themselves are wands that look like these, and the starter kit comes with 3 wands. There are also 3 additional expansion packs, and in today's video I'm going to be using the starter kit plus the crystal expansion pack. But there is also a colour expansion pack and a flare expansion pack. Now I'm not going to use those, otherwise this video will be mega long. But if you're interested in it, I can always make a later video at another time showing you what you can do with those 2 packs. You attach the wands to the mounts either directly or with these magnetic arms. So you can position the wands anywhere you want around the lens and angle the wand in any direction across the lens, towards it or away from it. So let's use our first wand. This is the scalloped window. It's a flat piece of glass with some scalloped edges that create some really huge bokeh. If I attach it to my lens, you can see here that as I twist and turn those scalloped edges so that the light comes through the glass and towards the lens, you can fill the negative space in your image with this bokeh. Or you can shoot through the glass and add a touch of colour to your composition. So my first tip for you is that you can change the intensity of the filter effect by shooting towards or away from the light. So I'm going to demonstrate this here by taking 2 photos of a thorn, one shooting towards the sun and one shooting away from it. So let's have a look. Now I'm focused at 1:1 magnification. I'm going to hold this in my hand so that I can control the distance from the lens, and I'll manually focus by moving this forwards and backwards until I'm in focus on the thorn that I'm looking for. So that's shot number 1 towards the sun. Now I'm not going to change the position of the filter. And there's shot number 2. So let's show those now and can compare how different the effect is when you're shooting towards or away from the sun. Next up is one of my favourites, the Crystal Seahorse. It's shaped like a seahorse with edges similar to the scalloped window, but it produces slightly softer bokeh, and it's got angled ridges across the surface, so it's not flat, and these produce some really interesting reflections. If I hold my finger up behind the wand, you can see that it's reflected a number of times across the image. Now, the next tip for you is that when you're shooting through a filter, it can be really useful to focus first without the filter in the frame and then move your filter into it afterwards. Particularly if you're manually focusing. Autofocus sometimes might struggle a little bit because the filters do tend to soften the edges much, but autofocus should work fine most of the time. So we've got here some fringed willow herb, which is a weed that's invasive to the UK. I think it's North American originally. But in the autumn, it's really interesting. It develops this kind of webbing on it. In the summer, it's a kind of bluish purple flower. But right now, it's really interesting. So I'm going to focus on one of these heads and then move the crystal seahorse in it to get some reflections. And I'll take some video of that on the camera to demonstrate. Let's just give it a minute for the wind to die down. Right, here we go. Hopefully this time. The wind has died down, so I am manually focusing. I'm happy with where that is. So now I am just going to move the seahorse in and move it around a little till I find the point of reflection. There we go, that's really nice. So I'm going to stop now and take a photo of this. Next up is the crystal spear, and this is the one I get on with least well. It's the thickest of the filters, and because of that it's quite bright because it reflects so much light, and it's also got a very well-defined shape. I think for macro photography it can quite overpower your subject, but I know that portrait photographers seem to love this one. So now I'm going to use the crystal spear. And it's always worth thinking about making sure that you move the wand both away from and towards the lens and vary things up. Don't just move it across the lens. And as you move it away from the lens, you'll find that you get a much more intense effect. And when the wand is close to the lens, it's much less intense. So before I take some shots, I'm just going to get some video footage of this teasel. And teasels are a great subject anywhere, all the time. You can find them right across Britain. And particularly if you can find a nice small one, such as the one in front of me, you can do proper one-to-one magnification macro photography with it. So, I'm just going to find my focus and then get things steady. So now, if I point the crystal spear away from me, you'll see that that's quite an intense light. And as I move the tip of it towards the lens, it's much less intense. Again, away from the lens and towards the lens. So you can use that to vary things up. Next, I'm going to use the rainbow film filter, and this is the only film filter in these two packs. There are lots of other film filters in the colour expansion pack, and this filter has one main trick. It introduces colours to your picture, And those colours can range from soft and subtle to bright and saturated. So the next tip is, if you want to make the most of the filters at their most saturated, i.e. when you're shooting into the light, which is just over here, try and find a dark background, because that will really emphasise those saturated parts. Now, I found an evening primrose plant here that's still got a flower on it, which is great. And there's some rocks just down here underneath the flower. So I'm going to shoot down at it with the dark rocks in the background, but directly towards the sun, and get some really bright reflections here in this rainbow film filter. Next, we've got stretched glass, and this has one flat side and one curved side. And you can shoot through the glass with either the flat or curved side towards your lens. And you can also shoot into the edges, producing different effects. It can give you some really out of focus and abstract interest, but also it can introduce bright patches and patches of banded or streaky light. I've got this shot in my mind with these berries. I think they're dog rose berries, but there's so many of them that are very similar. I'm never exactly sure which one's which. But I'm getting some bokeh coming through the trees in the background, and I want to get a berry and just distort it using the glass to make something a little bit more abstract. Now, it's something that's quite hard to do, and it's something that takes some time. So I'm going to work my way around this bush now and try and find a berry that I can get some decent background bokeh, and also find the right position in which to use the glass to distort it. And now another of my favourites, the triangular prism. Triangular prisms have been used in photography for a long time. They were very popular in the 80s. It's also a scalene triangle prism, and most prisms for photography are equilateral. So this produces a variety of effects, from light streaks to mini rainbows in your picture, and it can also produce reflections of things outside the frame. So if I hold my fingers up at the side of the lens, you can see that they're reflected in the image, even though my fingers aren't in the frame. You can also make some really interesting triangular bokeh. So, having said that all the insects have gone, I've actually here got 2 dragonflies on this fence. One of them is currently eating a fly, and he seems quite content with me taking photos. So I'm using the triangular prism, which is just giving me some reflections of the fence that it's sitting on. Now, if you're thinking about getting a set of these filters, I would recommend just going out and trying them as much as possible. It's the best way to learn what each one does and how you can get the best out of it. And I've been using these now for coming up to 2 years, and I do get them out on occasions, and it helps to inspire me when I'm feeling a little bit less creative than usual. Now, let's have a look at some of the details. Around some of this bokeh, it does produce a different effect to bokeh that's produced by aperture blades. And if we zoom in, we can see that there's a little banding around the edge of that bokeh. And I think that might be to do with the glass and the layers of it and the way it's manufactured. And you also get these little spots within the bokeh, which I'm not sure if it is dust and grime that's on the glass. They are very difficult to keep clean, especially out in nature such as this, or whether that's imperfections in the glass. So if you are a pixel peeper, the kind of person who zooms into every photo and looks at all the details at 100%, that might just drive you crazy. But if you're someone like me who just enjoys the general aesthetic of these filters, you will absolutely love them. So what do you think? What do you think of the results that you've seen today? Do you think that you'd want to give them a go? Have you got anything else to recommend to people that they could use as an alternative to these Lensbaby Omni creative filters? Let me know in the comments. And if you've enjoyed this video, please consider watching this one for another walk on the wild side.